Joined in studio by a communications expert who has followed the vetting process so far, and then also would look at other developments happening in and around the country, the world, talking about the swearing in of US President Donald Trump and the aftermath of that swearing in. Dr. Eche Sikanku, good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Martin. Good to be with you.
Yes, it's always a pleasure having you. Let's start straight from Ghana's parliament, where the vetting is ongoing. Today, 4 more ministers are expected to go through the vetting process. But it started last week, Friday. Right. What are your impressions, from what has gone on so far, general impressions so far?
I think it's a useful process. Of course, we do need to vet and know the kind of people who are going to take the helm of affairs of our country. It also gives a good opportunity for the ministers to explain in greater detail, what it is that they are going to do. And then at least it's an opportunity for the minority as well to scrutinize the kind of people that we have. So I think that overall it has been a very helpful process democratically. It helps, vetting also has another use too. It brings about transparency. The essence of democracy is to have a very open and transparent form of government in terms of the way our systems are organized.
You have taught communication, you are a lecturer in communication as well, and you've, lectured on communication, followed issues of communication, and you are well vexed with issues. When you are in front of a vetting committee on a national scale like this, how do you answer the questions with regard to a position you are yet to occupy? You might have some ideas, but you do not know what challenges are there. So when they ask you, how do you intend to fix this? How would you do this? How do you address the question, so then you don't commit yourself and then also give some hope of being able to do whatever position you are being vetted for?
I think it should be fairly easy. At the end of the day, they weren't just plucked from out of nowhere to come and sit there. You're part of the party. You should be well versed in its ideologies and in its positions. Your party cannot be a center-right party, and then you go there and everything that you are saying undermines the very philosophical foundations of your party. So that's one. Two, you should probably be part of the campaign. Know what the manifestos are, know what the issues are, and be very well versed in the policies, stance or positions of your presidential candidate. At the end of the day, you exist to serve. You exist to serve his interest, so you got to know what those positions are. And then lastly, you would expect that people over there would also have the expertise, the substantive expertise and the skill, to undertake the function of the duty.
So is it out of place for instance, I've been nominated for Minister of Youth and Sports. I go to the ministry, talk to the people there, try to get some information before I meet the vetting panel. Is it out of place to do that, or it's standard practice?
It should be part of your research, it should be part of your background work. The first thing you do when you're given an assignment or any responsibility is to do a situational analysis of what the thing is. So, if I'm an analyst, I have to talk to people, I have to do my research. Sometimes it involves doing interviews. You don't know everything, so you have to collect you have to collect that kind of information. I don't think that's kind of out of place at all.
And a final question on this before we go global. What would your take be on the fact that some of the nominees are coming there with CVs that have clear mistakes? They are clearly error rating, and these are people who knew well aware, at least a minimum of 2 weeks ahead of time, that they were going to face a vetting committee. And then also, while answering that, can you factor in why they should be concerned about your primary school you attended and maybe your secondary school you attended, and how that affects what you're going to do? Right.
Martin, some of these things, there are two schools of thought. Somebody can say that it's a minor issue and all of that. Another one will say this is unpardonable. Why is it unpardonable? Because you see, your CV is your representation, is who you are on paper. In other places, that is what gets you through the door to even get to the vetting or for the interview in normal life. Okay. I've been on a job search committee in the US when we're trying to hire new professors and all of that. And a lot of it counts on your resume and your CV. They try to interpret the kind of person you are through your representation on that. So it says a whole lot about who you are. So I think those things are very, very, very important. Now, I mean, you said to factor in the issue about the primary school and the history and all of that. I mean, to an extent, that is also important because, you see, it's part of your persona. It's part of your profile. It's part of your biography. It is true that you need to understand macroeconomics before you can work in the economy or trade. But also, values also underlie or underpin people's behavior. You want to kind of know the kind of person you were when you were in high school, when you were in primary school, and all of that. That tells us who you are because those values drive your actions and your behavior. You get the point?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So hopefully in our subsequent interviews, we'll try and explore that issue further. The real relevance and essence of some of the things that are coming up at the vetting process, which is ongoing in Parliament. But all the persons who will be facing the committee in our subsequent bulletins, will bring them to you so you get to know what they have said.